Hello and welcome back to Pitch Perfect, Hayters TV's women's football show. I'm Ayisha Gulati and I am joined again by Jamie Spangher from the halfway line. We've got another fabulous show for you today. It's international break, so we'll be looking back at the Lionesses' huge win. We've got exclusive interviews, player interviews, and also one with Jess Naz, who's just been called back up. Later on, we'll be heading stateside to give you an overview of the NWSL and what you guys should be looking out for. So a lot to look forward to for today's show. Well, we'll jump straight to it. Lionesses, amazing result. 5-0 against Belgium. And this was a side that last week, Jamie, you were saying, we don't know what to expect. Yep. They could really bring it. And I think it's fair to say they didn't really bring it. But England really did. A scoreline that I think reflects the performance. 5 different goal scorers. They now sit top of their Nations League group. And in a group with Spain, Portugal and Belgium, that's no mean feat. So tell me from your perspective, what stood out most?
It was just a comprehensive performance, wasn't it? I think that's what I took the most from it. It felt like from front to back, this team were operating cohesively. They were operating as a unit. And it was such an exciting performance based on the fact that everyone played well. Like you said, 5-0 was a deserved scoreline. And I think the biggest question for me heading into this game was, can they carry the momentum off that massive Spain victory at Wembley Stadium? Can they pull across? Because I mentioned last week, I think Belgium are a team to kind of look out for. They're maybe a little bit of an underdog. So I thought for Sarina Wiegman to walk away from that game, 5 separate goal scorers, it's just a comprehensive, complete performance and a lot to be excited about.
And how good was Lucy Bronze?
Oh, I know. She was so good. Can I be honest? It felt like every Chelsea fan watching the game, whether they were at Ashton Gate, whether they were watching on TV, you'd be stoked because her and Kira Walsh, the way Lucy Bronze inverted, the way she kind of led the left channel, the right channel, I thought she was phenomenal and she deserved that first goal.
Yeah, well, Kira Walsh, Lucy Bronze, there were 6 Chelsea players in that starting lineup. That's quite something. And then there were 3 Arsenal players and 2 United players.
Yeah,
I think that's quite indicative of where the WSL is at.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's clear cut. We've spoken about this. We even spoke about this last week. It feels like it's a league of 2 halves and not in the way where it's split down the middle. There's a clear top 4. And I think when there's not injuries to Lauren Hemp, there's a Man City player in there as well. So it does feel like there's some outliers. It's nice to see some players get call-ups from other teams, but right, every player, they play football to play for their nation. They want to represent England. They want to wear the 3 lions on their shirt. So yeah, it just kind of goes to show that you need to be at a big club right now. And women's football is a little bit off balance in terms of, is Sarina looking at the other clubs? She will be, but do they have the world-class talent? Not yet.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of those call-ups a little bit later on. But Lucy Bronze, she scored one, assisted another. She was just phenomenal, I thought, and not for the first time in an England shirt. She's been doing that all season with Chelsea as well. But I think we want to give you guys at home a bit of an insight into what we get up to as football reporters. And one of those things we do is that post-match, we head to a press conference, which Sarina Wiegman or the manager would be given. Or the other thing we can do is go and interview the players in a mix zone. And one of our reporters was actually at Ashton Gate on Friday night for the England-Belgium game. And they were able to catch up with star player Lucy Bronze.
Yeah, really good. I think it was really important that we took, the really good things from the Spain game. After such a great performance, I think people are still expecting England to come out and do well. It's easy to maybe dip after doing so well. But yeah, it felt good today. I think we maybe give the ball away a little bit too easy at some points, especially in the first half towards the end. I think we can improve on that, but the intensity was there, the effort was there. Every play, even the players coming off the bench, were unbelievable tonight, bringing extra energy, similar to the Spain game as well. So it's exciting because we seem to be in a good rhythm now.
Kira Walsh has been your international teammate for 7.5 years. She finally got a goal.
And deflected goal.
Okay, yeah. I mean, should we tell her it's an own goal just to play it rest of her head?
Might as well.
No, but seriously, what does it mean? What would it mean to her? Because it obviously meant quite a lot to you guys.
Yeah, I think she said that she was potentially has the worst stats for England, nearly 100 caps and not a single goal. So yeah, it was really good. I mean, Kira got a fantastic shot. I think she nearly scored 2 or 3 before that. I guess she's just a bit more confidence now, getting even higher up the pitch. All the players around her are always telling her to shoot because we know the quality that she has. So it's good that she's finally got on the score sheet for England. About time.
And finally, at the other end of her career is Aggie Beever-Jones, that you play with every week. How nice is it to see that moment, and how good is she?
Yeah, I think this season she's like, especially the last kind of 2 months, she's really come into her own. At the start of the season she was coming on for Chelsea and scoring goals, but I think when I watched her this last month for Chelsea, particularly in some of the City games, I think we've got a first team player now, a proper England player. I think when she was coming on tonight, we were all really excited because we know the type of energy that she's got, the pace, the quality. I wasn't surprised that she scored. I thought she might have been a 30-yard, 30-yard shot from outside the box because she's so good at shooting. But yeah, super excited for her. She was so happy, and obviously the Chelsea girls especially really happy and delighted for her.
Another great performance tonight and great win against Spain. You must feel like you can beat anyone ahead of the Euros now.
I think we've always had the belief that we can beat anyone. It's just whether we pull up the performances individually and collectively. But yeah, we've definitely shown that in the turn of the year that we're capable of pulling out the performances both defensively and in attack, scoring goals, defending goals. I guess it gives us a lot of confidence. But we still want to improve a lot more because the Euros is going to be tough. We've got a tough group and many games to come before that.
That was Lucy Bronze speaking after the Belgium game on Friday night. And you can watch that interview in full on our Hayters YouTube channel. Along with other interviews that we have, we got Beth Mead and Aggie Beever-Jones post-match, both really brilliant, funny interviews. So definitely recommend that you go and check those out. I love that clip, her teasing her Chelsea teammate, Kira Walsh, about her first goal. Wow. 83 caps and not scored for a player of her caliber. That was a shocking statistic for everyone, I think.
Honestly, I think we all have been saying every time I watch England, there's an influx of comments on social media, this is the day, guys. Today is the day Kira Walsh scores her first goal. But we've seen how good she's been for England over the last 5 she's been playing, she's been starting, she's been instrumental. When Kira Walsh is marked out of the game, England seemed less of a threat, so she's been so integral. So it's nice, isn't it? And I love, a bit of teammate banter. It was a deflected shot. We all know it was pretty good hit as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Aggie Beever-Jones as well, getting her first goal.
I was so pleased for that because I think that Aggie Beever-Jones is a player, like Lucy Bronze just said, she's a player that's really come into her own into her own recently. We've seen her talent for Chelsea. We've seen it kind of coming off the bench in those few glimpses for the Lionesses, but I loved how she kind of picked the pocket of Lesia Russo as well. It shows her confidence, it shows her determination, just a nice tap in, but such a good instinctive forwards run to get to the ball. So I was pleased, and Chelsea and England, they've got a talent right there.
Yes, definitely. And I really, I love the bit. There's an interview on our YouTube channel, on Hayters TV's YouTube channel, with Aggie Beever-Jones, where she mentions swapping her shirt with a Belgium teammate. And the reporter asked, "Oh, did you not want to keep that?" And she was just like, "Oh, I just totally forgot. I wasn't thinking. I just knew that girl from when I played under 17s with her. Oh, maybe I should go and get it back." So yeah, I wonder if she did manage to have a word and get that shirt back. But regardless, she'll remember that day for a long time to come. Lucy Bronze also mentioned in that clip that they have the belief that they can beat anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And they have just beaten Spain. They've now beaten Belgium by 5 goals. They play again tomorrow, Belgium again, but in Belgium, which will be, I'm sure, a slightly tougher task. But are they finding their rhythm at the right time ahead of the Euros? Do you agree? Can they beat anyone?
I honestly think, and yes, firmly I believe that. And I think, prior to Christmas, there was a lot of heat around Sarina Wiegman and whether she was making the right decisions, whether people were judging her tactics. And look, as a football fan, you always do that, especially on the international stage. You want to see your team performing at their best. But I think that, prior to Christmas, there was these friendly fixtures where it gave her room to experiment. It gave her room to try out these Aggie Beever-Jones kind of players and implement them into a first-team environment. Now she's in the business mode. She's just beaten the world champions at Wembley Stadium. She's just flown past Belgium. 18 months ago, they lost to Belgium in the Nations League, so there's improvements there. I think this is the perfect time for England to peak because there's not many competitive fixtures left, enough for them to test the waters, but not enough to get found out. So look, as someone looking into England, I think 100% they can probably beat anyone.
Yes, thank you. And a reminder that you can send us your comments during this live show and we will read out any comments we get. Matt Black has said, love this channel. Thank you for posting interviews and press conferences for the WSL teams and Lionesses. You are very welcome, Matt Black. A lot more of that to come. Please stay tuned and subscribe to our channel. We mentioned it earlier, a few injuries that have happened in this England camp. We've had Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo and Lauren James, who have gone back to their respective clubs to be assessed. Now, 3 big names. I mean, everyone in this England squad is a big name, to be fair. But how much of a concern is that?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. I don't think it's much of a concern for England right now. Obviously, Serena knows she's probably going to go into the game against Belgium and put in another comprehensive performance. But for Chelsea and Arsenal, right, this April international window, there's a reason the men's game have abolished it, because it's the business end of the season. They don't want players to come away from club, go back to club. They've got a Champions League semi-final next week, and like Myra Ramirez, Micah Hamano, and then obviously also for Arsenal, Daphne Van Domselaar. These are big, big names, and it's a worrying time because you want to be able to put out your best. And obviously Barcelona and Lyon, they're in the same situation. There's a little bit of luck there, but the April international window, I think, needs to be looked at because it's such a detrimental time for these players.
Yes, and of course we are in this position where we've got 2 English teams in the Champions League semi-finals, and ultimately we want them to have the best chance of going as far as they possibly can. And you're right, this just doesn't time that well, and maybe this might be something that raises the alarm bells and does get looked at going forward. Hopefully nothing too concerning, hopefully precautionary. We'll see what ends up happening. But of course, the 2 players who have been called up to the squad, Jess Naz of Spurs and Michelle Adjeman of Brighton. 2 great players, I'm sure you'll agree. And competition is fierce in these attacking positions, right? And actually that's something that Beth Mead points to in her post-match that you can catch on our YouTube channel. I will keep plugging it. But we don't want to be seeing these injuries. But of course, it gives a bit of an opportunity for these 2. From your perspective, what do you think we can expect to see if they do get any time?
Yeah, I think for Jess Naz, it's the perfect situation for her because she's gotten that knockback of, okay, you're not in the England first team right now. There needs to be better performances at club level. For Tottenham this year, she hasn't had the season that she did last season. And for a young player, right, she's shown her resilience. I really do think that she's a player that has her resilience. She has the correct attitude. She shows up to club and country with a very, intensive work rate. Robert Villaham's commented on that. So I think it's the best possible situation for her. It's okay. You're still in the door. Like, you're not discounted from this conversation. Show what you have. And it's not guaranteed that she'll play tomorrow against Belgium, obviously, but just being in the setup, it makes the world of a difference. If you can play at the camp, it's massive. And for Michelle Adjeman, she's a very exciting talent, obviously on loan from Arsenal at Brighton right now. Dario Vidicic plays her in a more of a wing role. She is a natural number 9, but that's an exciting one for Arsenal and Brighton fans alike because she's probably going to be stepping into the boots of Alessia Russo. So for her, it's massive exposure. She's 18 years old and you're with senior Lionesses. She's going to be coming up against players like Millie Bright, Leah Williamson in training. So it's just an experience thing for her rather than making a point. But for Jess Naz, I think there's plenty of points to make.
Yes, no, definitely. And yeah, hopefully a great opportunity for them both. Like you say, loads for them to learn, and we'll see whether they get some minutes in tomorrow's game. But talking of Jess Naz, now we were actually lucky enough to go down to Tottenham's training ground a couple of weeks ago. They opened the doors for a media day and enabled us to watch the training, speak with some of the players, speak with some of the staff, the manager. We showed you an interview with Robert Villaham last week. And we actually now have an interview with Jess Naz that we can show you where she talks about her first call up for the Lionesses, amongst other things. Firstly, I've got to ask you, what's your karaoke song?
Ooh, I think anything Drake. Anything Drake, yeah.
Solid choice, although quite hard to sing on the karaoke box, but I love it. Tell me a bit about how you fell in love with football and how your football journey started.
It started with my dad and younger brother. They used to kick a ball in the park, and I just started kicking the ball in the park with them. Loved kicking the ball about. Started training with my younger brother with the boys team, and yeah, every time I got opportunity after school, at school, literally just kicking the ball about. And yeah, at the time there weren't really girls football teams at the time, so I used to train with the boys. And at the start they'd be like, "Oh, you're a girl, we don't want to train with you." And then they'll see I've schooled them up or something, and they'll invite me to join. And yeah, I think after that, got into a girls football team, which was Tottenham. So yeah.
Yeah, well, from that, you know, kicking a ball around the park to playing here professionally for Spurs, and of course your England call-up last year. What was that moment, getting your first international cap? What was that like?
Yeah, it was a crazy 24 hours because it was just after the FA Cup final. Obviously, disappointing result for us, but I think after reflecting, like, the occasion, what we did, making history at the club, and yeah, being a part of that was just amazing. And then getting a call from Serena the next day saying we've been invited to train, and I think it was just a crazy feeling. I was buzzing, called my family, told everyone, and yeah, they were so happy for me.
And can you remember where you were when you were watching the last Euros?
Yeah, I was at home watching with family. Yeah, it was such an amazing scenes for the girls. I think what they've done for the country, what they've done for women's football, what they've done for the sport. Yeah, it was so great to see. And then I think I was so nervous watching at home, and so it was such a great feeling. I think even coming into club and how everyone was so buzzing for England. So yeah.
And then what's that feeling like, knowing that, you know, hopefully you might be a part of the next Euros?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, the last couple of months has been mad for me. I think the turnaround, and off the back of last season, I think having such a good and impactful season, earning a place in England, and I think every call-up is still special to me. Every time I get the email saying I've got the call-up, I think it's a chance for me to grow and improve, be in the environment with top-class players, and yeah, hopefully I can earn my place.
And for you, what's next? What's next for Jess Naz? What can we expect?
I think for me, just keep growing as a person, as a player. I think build consistency. I think I've been at the club for a while, so I want to be, you know, a key player for this club, scoring goals, creating assists, and I think ultimately being the best person and version I can be of myself, and at England just thriving, trying to get to levels, scoring goals, and yeah, helping the team out as much as I can.
And expanding your Drake repertoire on the karaoke box too. Jess was brilliant. I absolutely loved talking to her. Rogue karaoke choice, though, in my opinion, Drake. Jamie, what would your karaoke song be?
Not Drake. Let me tell you, that is crazy. Like, choosing rap for karaoke, good for her. I'm going to go with Islands in the Stream, Dolly Parton. My friends and I loved that in uni.
Nice.
I'm telling you, after a few drinks at a duet bar at a karaoke bar, Dolly Parton, get her on. What's yours?
Bit of Ronan Keating.
Okay,
Yeah.
don't mind it.
Yeah. A ballad, maybe, like If I'm Feeling Low, or Life is a Roller Coaster if we want to
love
really
it.
go for it.
I love it.
Anyway, Jess mentioned there nicely that just how much being called up for England does mean, and being in and around that setup. So really pleased for her that she has the opportunity again in this window. She also mentioned there where she was when she was watching the Euros. And we, of course, got the news this week that the 2035 World Cup will be a home World Cup. How exciting is that?
Honestly, it's going to be amazing. And I think the fact that it's a United Kingdom home nations tournament is going to be so exciting as well. Like, involve Scotland, involve Wales, involve Northern Ireland. They've got the great facilities to some great stadiums all over the United Kingdom. So it's so exciting. And you know the upwards trajectory of women's football here, especially in England, like, to follow that and know that there's a home World Cup, it just kind of gives it an extra momentum, some extra hunger. So how good's that?
So good. And yeah, like everyone has been saying, women's football took off in this country as a result of the Euros. So hopefully a lot more of that to come. I mean, a long way to go until 2035. I'm sure we'll push it even further until then. But yeah, a really great milestone to look forward to. And I loved that Leah Williamson said she's going to be 38, but don't rule me out. Like,
I'll be there.
Stranger things have happened. Yeah, well, I want to see Williamson there. And actually, before we move on to our next segment, I wanted to take a moment to show you the Euros ball that we've got, because yeah, the Euros are going to be in Switzerland this summer. And this is a great ball, thanks to Fowdies, who helped us kit out this wonderful set with the shirts, the ball. And yeah, really recommend getting your hands on one of these because it's got all the stadiums. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, got to admit it's quite tempting to want to give it a kick around, but maybe not in the studio.
Down.
Yeah,
put it down.
maybe another day. Amazing. Well, we have something slightly different to move on to now in today's show. We're going to switch things up, head across the pond. And the league in the States is, of course, the National Women's Soccer League, also known as the NWSL. And fans of the WSL over here may or may not know things about that league over there. But we thought we'd just give you a bit of an overview, how it works. Can't go into it in loads of detail, of course, but hopefully a nice overview. We've got some great exclusive interviews coming up with the CEO of Bay FC and Angel City too. So first things first, I just want to maybe go into a few of the differences between the WSL and the NWSL. As you can see on this wonderful graphic, here's what I made earlier. There are 14 teams. They play each other home and away. That is expanding to 16 from next season. It is a closed league, so no promotion or relegation. That's something we discussed last week. The season runs from March to November. It's kicked off last month. The top 8 teams enter playoffs, which lead to a final. And the winners of that final last year were Orlando Pride. So they are the current champions. The NWSL also has an annual college draft, similar to the NFL, bringing in young talent directly from universities. And it also sees a mix of independent and MLS affiliated clubs, often with investor or celebrity backing. That's something we've seen quite a bit of. Jamie, as someone who follows both leagues, what would you say you find the main differences to be?
Yeah, there's definitely a few. I love the NWSL, love it so much. Like growing up, especially back home in Australia, it was really only the A-League, which is our national league, and then the NWSL. I watched it a lot because players like Sam Kerr, Steph Catley, Caitlin Ford, they played in both. I think that the biggest difference, if you're talking about football on the pitch in terms of NWSL, WSL, is the WSL here in England. It's very technical. Like we love our skills. We love playing the ball to our feet. Lots of like, you don't want to say tiki-taka because that's Spanish, but that's kind of the vibe. The NWSL is so highly transitional. Like it's end to end. It's a lot more of an athletic brand of football where you've got players high in transition, high speed. But something that I think is so fascinating about the NWSL and why I urge so many people to watch it is it feels like it's anyone's game to win. Like anyone in those 14 teams can beat anyone in any given week. Like we see upsets most weekends, so they're never really upsets. It feels like sometimes in the WSL, let's say Chelsea are playing, I don't know, Aston Villa. We're not very optimistic on how close that game can be. In the NWSL, you never know. So no, I love it. I think it's highly transition. It's quick, it's fast, and it's anyone can win it.
And that playoff system as well just keeps so many of those teams interested right until the end. There's so much to play for, right?
And I think that's why, like, when we speak about relegation, right, we spoke about it a lot on last week's episode in terms of, okay, what's going to make these teams at the bottom of the table excited to play football when they're 8th, they've got nothing to play for. In the NWSL, you do, right? That's why the closed league works. You can play for the 8th spot and you can still win the championship. You don't need to win the league. You can still win the shield if you come first, but there's more to play for. And I think the playoff system complements so many players and managers. I think when Jonas Eidevall left Arsenal and joined San Diego Wave, a lot of Arsenal fans that know him said he's going to do really well because when you get in the playoff systems, every game's a must win, and we know how he is under pressure. So yeah, I think the playoff system, it works so well. It works well in a closed league and a final system. Who doesn't love finals football?
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And I think a really interesting point with the NWSL is how teams can start essentially from nothing, just an idea. The NWSL launched in 2013 with 8 teams. They now have 14. They're going to 16. And actually Bay FC, who are based in the Bay Area of San Francisco. I am wearing my Bay FC jumper. I was actually lucky enough to get some time with their CEO, Brady Stewart, because they are one of the newest teams. They joined the league last season. And yeah, Brady Stewart spoke with me about their whirlwind journey to joining the league. Brady, thank you so much for speaking with us. Can you tell me about this amazing story of Bay FC and how you started from this idea to now being in the NWSL and doing so well?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's really exciting to be talking. The Bay FC journey has been a really thrilling, exciting ride. The origin of the club is that there are 4 former U.S. women's national team legends, Brandi Chastain, Allie Wagner, Danielle Slayton, and Leslie Osborne, who all are from the Bay Area, played at Santa Clara, which is a major university in the Bay Area with a great soccer program. And they had a dream of having a professional women's soccer team in the Bay. And they were out talking to investors, looking at how to raise the capital to start the club. And we're connected with Sixth Street. And Sixth Street is a global private equity firm with about $70 billion under management, who has a really robust sports investing practice. So they're invested in Spurs, in Real Madrid, in Barcelona, in Legends, which is a major sports hospitality company. And so they really have a kind of global purview on what excellence in sport is. And when they heard about the concept of the team, said, hey, this is an incredible business opportunity, right? Women's sports is at such a major upward inflection moment. Let's get in now. Let's invest properly behind the team. So they put in $120 million, which is the largest ever institutional investment in women's sports. Let's invest properly behind this team, and let's give it the runway to create a global sports franchise. And now here we are.
And you mentioned that sort of 9-month journey.
Yeah.
And sold out season tickets before you'd even got a player. Tell me more about how you found that success.
Well, it really, we should probably pause on the wild 9 months, because it was so much fun. So I was the first employee of the club in June of 2023. And we had from June until the beginning of March of 2024 to field a team. That meant everything from, building up the staff to support the team, scouting and recruiting all the players, making sure that we had the corporate infrastructure like emails and health insurance and all the stuff it takes to run a company. We had to do all of that. Oh, and a place to train the team. We had to do all of it, a place to play, all of it in 9 months. And to contextualize, it generally takes an expansion team or a new team between 18 months and 2 years to launch. And so we figured, no problem, we're going to cut that time in more than half. And we're going to not only do it faster than anybody else, we're going to look to do it better. So that was the context. And I think what happened was, first of all, the Bay Area is a great market for sports, and we have just incredible fans who showed up for us. But second of all, we were able to attract people to come work at Bay FC who are really passionate about our mission, who see the vision and are looking for a chance to leave a legacy, both in the Bay Area and in women's sports globally. And so the team was passionate and engaged from day one. And we have this shared vision of doing everything.
I absolutely love that story. 9 months from that ideation to being in, and they made the playoffs last year as well. A really remarkable story. What do you make of Bay FC?
Yeah, Bay FC just feel like one of those moments when you're with your mates, you're like, let's start a football club. And then suddenly you've actually got a serious plan started. But it's such a remarkable story. And I think it just translates across to the message in the NWSL of we really care about women's football or women's soccer in America. And I think that's why the investment is so impressive. When we look at it across the pond and we think, wow, these are investors and these are owners that actually care about the sport, but particularly they care about women's sport. They really want this kind of women's team operating in the Bay Area. And for Bay FC, the biggest note was when they went and bought Rachel Kundananji. They spent $785,000 on her USD. And at the time, she was the most expensive player in the world. This is before Naomi Goma. So for that kind of intent, hey, we don't actually have a team yet. We can't get this world-class talent and say, we know that we've succeeded in the league before. You're just kind of convincing her to come along. And to have that, it shows that the owners and the ownership group are very, very keen on this club. And there's so much talent in that squad. People will know Barcelona used to have Oshuala, who's a really impressive striker. Arsenal fans will know her as well. She's now obviously playing at Bay FC. So it's so exciting. But I think the biggest thing this team and club show is it's the NWSL. It's people care about women's soccer. People want to invest in women's soccer. And it's such an impressive case study on that.
So true. And the NWSL will be expanding to 16 teams next season with the inclusion of Boston and Denver, as you can see on this graphic. And it's it's really interesting because for new teams to join the league, there's an expansion fee. Brady touched on it in that interview. They need to show they have the financial means to survive. They need stadium facilities, etc. And we often end up, as a result of that, seeing those celebrity investors and those types of investors that we don't necessarily see in the same way over here, although that seems to be coming across a little bit. And actually, Angel City joined the league in 2022 with investors ranging from Natalie Portman to Billie Jean King, wide range of investors, and another team who are doing brilliantly well and a great success story. I actually heard from the CEO of Angel City FC, Julie Ehrman. This was at a Women in Football event. They host a Be Inspired conference every year, which is a fantastic event. I was lucky enough to be there last week, and I was able to see Julie speak about just how positive the outlook on women's football in the States is.
So we knew just in our core that the fans would be there, but they're not going to be there if you don't give them what they expect, right? Which is an incredible game day experience. And so we invested in the game day experience, we invested in the product, we invested in the community, and we invested in making sure that everyone knew it existed. And it's almost the field of dreams, right? Like if you build it, they will come. And we just felt like they were saying, we will come if you build it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we did, and they have. And, you know, San Diego followed our playbook to some extent. And, you know, home opener, 32,000 fans. You know, they saw an average of 18,000, 19,000 fans. And so this narrative that could only happen in Portland because it's the soccer capital of the world wasn't true. And so then you saw investment by Kansas City, you saw investment by Washington Spirit, and you've seen the value of these expansion fees go up, right? So Angel City bought in 2020 for $2 million. Bay FC and Boston bought in at $53 million 2 years ago. And then Denver just bought their expansion right for $110 million. And in addition to buying the expansion right, they are building a stadium. And they're investing $20 to $30 million into a temporary facility. And they're investing $25 million in. They're going to be out close to $400 million before they kick a ball. So that's real belief and investment. And I think Rowena said it on an earlier panel, it is, women's sports is patient capital, right? It's going to take time. The difference is you're going to go from 2 million to Angel City to 250 million in valuation in 4 years if you invest and build the product, because the fans are there. So the irony is the revenue is actually there. You just have to have people that are willing to invest ahead of it. If you do this I'm going to invest a little bit, wait for a return, invest a little bit, wait for a return. If you're a fan, you're annoyed, right? You're like, give me the experience I want today, and I promise you I will be there. And so for those of us that have done that, we've been rewarded. Look at Kansas City. They were the first team to build a purpose-built stadium for women's football. They $115 million, $120 million to build a stadium, and it's been sold out every day since. So how many more data points do you need that fans, and it's not.
Thank you again to Women in Football for that footage that they kindly shared with us. And I encourage all of our viewers to become members of Women in Football to find out more about their events and the things they do on their platform. As we heard Julie mention there, this is not, it's a huge investment opportunity, and the numbers in the States are really showing that. Denver, the league's 16th franchise joining next season, they paid a record $110 million expansion fee, which is more than double than the 15th, which was Boston in 2023. It's just proof that women's football is a huge investment opportunity, and people are seeing it in the States, just like Julie said there. How many more data points do people need?
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing that I think she said is, if you build it, they will come. There is a market for it. There is a market for women's football fans in the USA. And I think they're exploiting that. They're using it, and they're knowing that it's there. And I liked what Julie said about Kansas City Current. They have the only purpose-built women's football stadium in the world, in the globe, which is crazy when you think about it, right? Kansas City kind of reinstated their team after Utah Royals folded, and then really very interesting timeline. But to know that, okay, we've failed before, we're going to come back into this league, but we're going to really take it seriously, build our own stadium. Teams in Europe can learn a lot from that, right? There's money in it, there's eyes on it. You need to pay attention, because I think the NWSL, they're doing it very, very well.
definitely lots of learning points for leagues in Europe, teams in Europe to learn from the NWSL for sure. Now, moving on to the players themselves, lots of our viewers will, I'm sure, know some of the names. Some of the names who have moved over from here. We've got Lionesses, Jess Carter, Esme Morgan, Katie Salem, who was a Man United captain last year. Who else might our viewers know, and who should they know about?
Yeah, so who will you know? I guess if you're looking at maybe as an Arsenal fan, Raffaele was a really, really impressive centre-back 2 seasons ago. She was with Leah Williamson. She's at the Orlando Pride. You mentioned Lionesses. Obviously, Anna Morehouse has been in and out of the squad as a goalkeeper. She's also at the Orlando Pride. And then you're looking at players like Alana Kennedy, who have left Man City to go to Angel City. And yeah, so there's so much correlation. I think it goes to show at the start of women's football, I think the NWSL was the hub. It was where it was all at. And I think now we've seen this translation where Europe is booming. Players want to play in Europe. But now it's starting to go back. And whether it's going back or evening out, I think it just goes to show there's an exciting pool of talent there. And it's evening. There's a seesaw, but it's hitting an equilibrium because they're both great leagues. They're both great continents. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, what do you think? Like you say, we're seeing these players move over. What do you think they are seeing as the appeal of moving to the NWSL rather than finding another team over here?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to consider in terms of do you want to play in Europe? Because speaking to someone like Jenna Niswanger, for instance, she's moved over from Gotham and she said, I want to play Champions League. And growing up as a kid, I always watched the Premier League. So I knew from start to finish, I wanted to play in Europe. But then I think it depends on the player. And if you want to play in the NWSL, it's very, very fortunate in terms of you've got a nice summer season in terms of March, you go through to November. The climate is actually a factor, as ironic as it sounds. But then there's a playoff season. There's a lot to play for during the year. And I think as footballers, and if you're not looking at yourself and saying, hey, I'm going to play for Chelsea, Barcelona, Arsenal, Lyon, these teams, but I really want to play in Europe, but I'm not going to be able to win silverware. In the NWSL, you can play for a team like, Angel City, who are coming up AFC, and there's silverware there. At the end of the day, you play football to win trophies. So I think it's the enticement of, okay, it's an evenly balanced league. There's investment in it. And as a player, why wouldn't you want to go there when you know that the investors care, the owners care, the fans are showing up, they're selling out stadiums every week. Watching the NWSL is remarkable because every stadium's almost always full. So I think it's pretty nice if you were a player looking at that.
Yeah, and they love their merch over there,
don't
they? Honestly,
so true. So
like
American.
The chances of you getting your name printed on someone's on the back of someone's shirt are pretty high. That's enough reason. That would pull me over there, to be honest. Yeah, awesome talent over there. I want to hear from you. Give me 5 players, your 5 to watch in the NWSL. And just as a reminder, we would love to hear from you guys in the comments. If you watch the league, if you watch the NWSL, who are the players that you enjoy watching that other people should know about?
Okay, let's get started. I've had a bit of a think about this. I can't lie because, again, plethora of talent.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put them in order. None of this order stuff.
Don't worry, that would be mean, I think.
No, that would be mean. So obvious, starting off the cuff, Barbara Banda, right? Zambian international. We know how good she is on the international stage. Last season, 17 goals, 7 assists. That is mad statistics for a 28-game season. So Barbara Banda, if you don't already know her, get to know her because how good. Another really impressive forward, Temwa Chawinga, Kansas City Current. She won the Golden Boot last season with 20 goals in the season. She overtook Sam Kerr's previously held record in 2019, which was 18 goals. She was the first ever player to score against every single 13 teams in the league in one season. Wow. So that is nuts. She's a talent. She's unbelievable. And then for USA fans, I think what's so exciting about if you watch the US women's national team, if you watch the NWSL, the talent that the USA have coming up the ranks, scary. Like for everyone else, it's scary. So Michelle Cooper, also of the Kansas City Current, she's a really young forward. She's very versatile. She can play in the 10 as well, but she's been incredible so far this season. 2 goals and assist. The first game of the season, she scored like a 30-yard screamer. She's unbelievable. And she's in the USA setup right now as well. So Emma Hayes is really trusting her. She scored last month against Australia in the She Believes Cup. I think it was her second appearance. So she's a very exciting player to watch. Keeping it on the USA.
Yeah.
Emma Sears, Racing Louisville, to wear the number 13 for the USA after Alex Morgan. You're pretty, you're an up-and-coming talent. She's 24, so she's been there and thereabouts, but she's very versatile. She can play striker, right wing, left wing, everywhere. So she's been firing already for Racing Louisville. She scored last week. They beat Chicago Stars 1-0. So she's a player that if you don't know her, again, start to watch her because I think Alex Morgan's kind of gone out. There's the shoes to fill, and if you're wearing the 13 kit, there it is.
Big shoes.
Last one I want to say, I feel like I've named 4 forwards, so I should probably name a defender. Washington Spirit Mexican defender, Rebecca Bernal. She's a central defender for Washington Spirit, and she's very, very strong. Good in the air, good in the duels on the ground. So if you like a strong, no-nonsense centre-back, keep your eye on Bernal. But those are my 5.
I love that. That must have been hard to choose
Yeah,
as well.
it's hard,
So
right?
much talent over there, as we've already touched
Yeah.
on. Yeah, and I'm going to ask you as well, who is your team to watch? Who do you think is going to win the NWSL this season?
To win the NWSL, I have my eyes on Kansas City Current.
Yeah?
I think Orlando Pride is so good, but KC Current and Orlando Pride right now, 2 only teams to win their first 3 games, but the forward talent is unbelievable. Like they've got Dabinia from Brazil as well, to name her as well. They've got a lot of young American talent in that squad, so I'm going to say KC Current. That's my tip.
And is there a team who maybe might not win, but dark horses coming up, getting better, improving, investment, etc.?
Yeah, I think we've all kind of looked at North Carolina Courage over the last 5 years, and they've been a really strong contender, but they've not kind of gone all the way. They haven't had a strong start to the season, but they've got a lot of talent in their team. Like Jaden Shaw's obviously just moved over there. She's another, we're speaking about USA talents because they got a billion of them, but she's another one. Denise O'Sullivan of the Republic of Ireland, really strong midfielder. So in terms of a team that's maybe not going to push for titles this year, but maybe in the future, North Carolina Courage, one to watch for sure.
Love that.
Love the NWSL, can't lie.
Well, maybe we'll revisit this segment over the course of the NWSL season, because, of course, still early days over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, only 3 matches played, long way to go, but lots to look forward to on that front. Well, I hope you have enjoyed our episodes today. We've covered the Lionesses, we've touched on the NWSL, although there is so much more to talk about on both fronts. So I really hope you come back and join in the conversation here next week, same time, 4 p.m. Mondays. We will continue to bring you everything we can in the world of women's football. Please do continue the conversation on our social media channels, Hayters TV on YouTube, Hayters WTV on Instagram, and Hayters TV across most other platforms. We'll be there. Just look for it. We'll find us. You'll see all the content from today's show, among all the other exclusive behind the scenes content that we can bring you. Thank you, Jamie, again for joining us today in the studio. We'll be back next week, 4 p.m. See you then.